All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Macrina Lele. I'm the Associate Director of the African Studies Program of the University Center for International Studies at the University of Pittsburgh. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you to the Teach Africa workshop. We appreciate your time and interest in this program. This is our second of this series, and we are really happy that you could make the time. Our goal in these programs is professional development, to provide an opportunity for educators to explore interdisciplinary approaches to teaching about the continent of Africa. And this is part of what we do as African Studies, also at the University of Pittsburgh, to help promote the study of Africa, not only at the University of Pittsburgh, but also across our neighboring communities here in Pittsburgh and beyond. So we hope that this is an opportunity for us to share ideas on connecting to Africa across disciplines, such as the geographical, cultural, linguistic, and political diversities of the continent that constitute an invitation to interdisciplinarity. We also hope to learn together today from our speakers, facilitators, and from each other about the many strategies to help us improve how we teach about Africa in our classrooms. It is a wonderful opportunity for us to network and exchange insights and ideas while exploring best ways to incorporate content of Africa in our classrooms. So we are really happy that you could join us. We feel that this is very important because linking curriculum with aspects of African culture promotes global education for all students, especially in an era in which we are existentially threatened by so many things, including climate change and political dangers. It is a vital educational approach to promote our students' sense of unity and respect. So teaching about Africa, history, politics, and culture supports our students developing identities as global citizens. Additionally, and crucially, Africa has deeply shaped the cultural context of the United States, especially that of African American and African diasporic students. Given persistent racial injustice in education and the existence of curricula still plagued by Eurocentric perspectives, there is an urgency to embrace Black Lives Matter at school and equity and anti-racism approaches in the classroom. This can be achieved through various strategies, some of which will be discussed in today's workshop. So, teaching about Africa can be part of an anti-racist practice as it enables historically marginalized student groups to become visible in a multi-perspective curriculum that affirms their identities and dismantles narrow, one-sided perceptions of their cultures. So with this said, we see the importance of what we do as educators, especially in promoting opportunities for students to widen their perceptions and perspectives so that we can all live in a respectful environment where we respect difference, cultural diversity, and things like that. So with these few remarks said, I would like to welcome Dr. Porter, Maureen Porter, to share her thoughts about today's program. Dr. Porter is Associate Professor of Education and the Project Director of our Group Projects Abroad program to East Africa. Just to conclude, we do a lot of projects abroad to Africa with the Fulbright Hays program. So we'll talk about that today throughout the program. And if you have any questions, Dr. Porter and myself will be available, and Dr. Anna Maria Kanz will also be available to answer any questions. So with that said, Dr. Porter, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be part of the second Teach Africa conference. We had the opportunity to organize the first one as part of our Fulbright Hays group project abroad to Ethiopia. And we have several people who are part of that and who did special sessions here with the group today, because you can see it kind of had them catch the bug, right? To stay involved and to continue to incorporate African wisdom and indigenous knowledge and music and all sorts of things into whatever discipline area that they're teaching. And Dr. Carnes, you may remember from our team from Ethiopia, has now graduated and is full-time staff within African Studies. So yeah, we're actually really proud of all the work she did in her dissertation. And now that she's going to continue to lead the African Studies area forward and in incorporating programs like this for teachers of all kinds in Pittsburgh and beyond. And we are going to be able to have a chance to talk later today and in breakout rooms. If you would like to find out more about the new Fulbright Hays program that we've already won, as you can imagine, the State Department had us delay it, so we're not going this summer. But we hope that many, many of the people who are here today in this special opportunity will be interested in joining us for a paid month in Uganda and Kenya. And we are going to be looking at cultures of innovation and the productive intersections between STEAM, especially the A of STEAM, and social science, looking at environmental and equity and all sorts of other issues that are places where STEAM and social sciences are coming together in Uganda and Kenya, and where they have so many things to teach us that we can learn with them and bring that back for kids of all kinds, especially those who are part of the African diaspora. So we are going to have a chance to be able to look at these opportunities. And I encourage you to look at the poll that just popped up here on your screen, because we'd love to see how many people are involved and interested. If the timeline keeps going, probably late fall, we'll start advertising and recruiting, and then trying to build, like the group we had last time was just so great. And just what a wonderful group of people to celebrate and live with and explore with for a month. And we'll be looking for folks who are currently teachers, people who are new teachers, people who are very experienced and award-winning teachers, just to make this great team to be able to put together resources. I guess maybe I'm doing a good sales job right here so far. We've got a great interest, but I look forward to talking to you more about that. And one of the things we're going to do here is if Drew or whoever's going to take the group picture can go to the gallery. We would like to take a picture of all the people attending today. So if you'd like to either be on screen or put up your photo, or if you prefer, just put your name, but I'll give you a minute. Yeah, see, people are sitting up straight and, you know, smiling and things like that, right? So Drew, take it away. We're going to do a group picture, and then on this screen and then the next screen.
Okay, everybody, smile.
Screen 2.
Okay, one more. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today. It's a really exciting time. Last time, of course, it was in person, and we had lots of opportunities to break out and mix and match and discover somebody even at your same school you didn't know also had harbored this interest, as well as to connect to other people who are in your grade level in a totally different school. So Dr. Carnes has set it up so we'll have many different ways to mix and match, and you can choose your own breakout rooms later. So I look forward to seeing you all morning. And I will turn it back here now to Anna Marie Carnes.
Yay. Hello, everyone. Welcome again. We are excited you're here. I'm just going to share a few things to make the day go well. So everyone should have the schedule that was emailed to them. So we'll probably follow that pretty closely, maybe adjusting by a few minutes here and there. So go ahead and follow that schedule. And just like Maureen was talking about, we do have breakout rooms. So I want everyone to see now what we're going to have. I would call the first ones that are there right now discussion rooms. So that means during different times. So during the breaks, Maureen and Macrina are going to be available that you can actually go into that room and talk to them. So if you're interested in the Fulbright, or even you know, Maureen Porter is just a phenomenal professor here at the University of Pittsburgh in the School of Education. And she does a lot on gender, anthropology. She really infuses culture into the classroom. And so if you guys just want to talk to her, you know, about those things, or talk to her about the Fulbright Haze, she will be available during the breaks. So how to access that breakout room? If you go to the bottom of your screen, all right, and where do we go from there, Drew? Oh, there it is. I see mine on mine. Do you guys see breakout rooms? Okay, so if you click on the breakout rooms, okay, you guys should see right now that there's chat with Maureen Porter, there's chat with Macrina Lele, there's chat with Nosakari Griffin L, and there's connect with someone 2, connect with someone 3. So, you know, if we were really in person, right, we would see someone down the hall and we'd be like, hey, oh, it's so good to see you. Or, hey, you're teaching science too. Oh, this is really hard. Okay, right? You'd be able to connect, but online it's a little harder. So what we're doing is allowing you this time. So during the breaks, Maureen and Macrina, and Macrina Lele is just a wealth of knowledge for African studies. So she is also has her PhD in education. And so definitely connect with her. Anything African studies that you're interested in, or questions that you might have for her, she will also be available during the break. Or even if you guys are like, oh, we really want some people to come to our classroom, or things like that, just networking with Macrina Lele would be awesome during the break as well. And then you will get to speak with our main speaker, Dr. Griffin L, at the second breakout session. So the first one will all be breaking out during his time, but the second breakout session, we're going to make him available. So just in case you really want to talk more about the books that he's presenting and things like that, you will have time during the second breakout session to go meet with him. And then if you just say, man, I haven't seen you in so long, Ryan, or something like that, you can say, hey, can we, you can chat with them and you can say, hey, can we meet and connect with someone too? And then you can actually have that time to chat. Just, message someone and say, hey, let's meet and talk in this chat room. And then you can actually talk face to face. So we'll see how it goes. This is all new to all of us, right? This time online. So does everybody understand kind of how that works? And then during the actual breakout rooms, we're going to put K through 5th so that you'll be with people in your same kind of grade level. We'll put middle school, high school, and you can pick which one you're most interested in. I know that we have some students as well, and so whatever grade level they're interested in, they can join during that workshop time. Okay. The other thing we want to do is, because we want to be able to network and things, we're going to show you how to change your name up here. So if you click on, so we know what school you're from and what grades you're teaching, or if you're a student, if on your profile picture, if you go to the little 3 dots, all right, you can hit rename at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to rename myself. So if you guys want to rename yourself, tell your school, and tell the grade you teach. Let's see. So do you guys see how I just put Anna Maria? Now it says African Studies. Too bad you can't see the whole thing. Maybe if I shorten my name to Anna, you would see more. But yes, that's great. Except you have to put your name too. So like I see Franklin Regional, but now I can't see your name. So make sure you put your name as well. Does everybody get that? Yes, I see, Ryan, you got it. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Awesome, Laura. I see you put science. Great. So that will just help to see where everybody is from. Okay. Now, I don't know if all of you, some of you might have a transcript running at the bottom of your page, and it might be really annoying to some of you, or some of you it might be really helpful. So if you need to turn that off, the transcript, just go down to the bottom. Does it say transcript?
I don't see anything on my screen.
Does anyone have a transcript coming up? No? Okay. Drew, I don't even see how to turn that on.
I can turn it on real quick.
Okay, if you turn it on and then people can turn it off.
Do we need it? Or
It just depends on the person. So do you guys see at the very bottom now how it's saying everything I'm saying? Okay, so if you need that, you can use that. And then now at the bottom, there's a live transcript thing. So if you want to turn that off, you can just go there and you can hide the subtitles. So, but if you do need that, then that's there for you as well. So we just want to announce really fun activities that are happening with the University Center for International Studies. You know, African Studies is part of a major group called the University Center for International Studies, and we do so much for teachers. And so I'm going to hand it to Kathy, sorry, to share a little bit about really cool programs that are coming up. So stay tuned for that.
Thanks, Anna Maria. Can everyone see my screen? I'm sharing. Okay, so I've taken everybody to the usispit.edu engagement/outreach website. And if anybody wants to put that in the chat, that link to share with our participants, please feel free to do so. I want to just walk you through a couple of features that you can use on this website to see all the amazing opportunities that are available for educators in these next coming months into the summer. We have here on our homepage slider screen some opportunities that we'd like to highlight. We change these up every couple months. If you're interested in accessing them, you can click on the link. You can see that we have a number of events highlighted here. And as we rotate through it, I'll just wait to start with the one we're all going to get so much enrichment out of today. And that, of course, is the Teach Africa workshop that we're all attending. So you can see how you can click here if you want more information, and then it goes to the website. So there's that. There's the NCTA Online Summer Seminar, which is happening at various locations from June, different dates from June to July. This summer online, and you can click on the link to apply. The Summer Institute for Global Educators, which is going to be mentioned in the programs and events link that I'm going to click on in just a few minutes. And then also what will come up in this highlight is the Interdisciplinary Global Educators Workshop. That is also an opportunity for educators online this summer. That's right here. And that's going to show up as well in this programs and events link that I've just clicked on. This shows a number of events that are coming up through USIS. We have the European Studies Center Immersive Summer Language Grants. The deadline is Sunday, April 25th. To apply for those grants, and you can just click on the link here, the hyperlink, if you are interested in more information about that. We also have a K-12 educator on the protests that have been happening since the military coup in Myanmar back in February. That's a K-12 educator workshop that's online Tuesday, April 27th. We have a really interesting Japan lecture series that will discuss ikebana, which is flower arrangement design in Japan, but that will be a lecture, and I believe they're also showing a film. If you're interested in that, you can click there. We have a wonderful Global Issues Through Literature series offered by our Global Studies Center in conjunction with our various USIS centers. The May Global Issues Through Literature is a partnership with our Center for Latin American Studies class. And they read a book and have a speaker discuss and do applications for the classroom, how you could incorporate the literature into your classroom. That's a really wonderful opportunity that usually takes place every month or so and highlights a different center. This year, the theme is migration. So it brings in regional aspects, but also trans-regional aspects, migration being such a theme. And then again, as you saw highlighted in the homepage slider above, the Interdisciplinary Global Educators Working Group for K through 12 educators. This is a great professional development opportunity that's coming up in June for 3 days. I believe the application deadline is May 17th for that. You can click on this link here if you're interested. And then the Summer Institute for Global Educators, which is also a very comprehensive professional development opportunity for educators who would like to globalize their curriculum. This is K through 12. Again, it will be a week-long institute that will be online, both synchronous and asynchronous, to sort of switch things up so you're not sitting online all day. There will be presentations, there will be resources and materials for educators in a number of different ways that one can internationalize, globalize their curriculum in the classroom. Also, just really quick, if I can plug our community newsletter. Every month, USIS publishes an engagement newsletter for opportunities for the K through 14 educator community and the Pitt community and the community of the Pittsburgh region at large. And there are always so many professional development opportunities published each month in this newsletter. So if you don't subscribe and you would like to, please feel free to email Dr. Carnes or myself. I'm Kathy Fratto. I'm the engagement coordinator at the Asian Studies Center, but I also work across all of the centers at USIS to help promote the amazing programming that all of USIS does. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Any questions? Or Anna Maria or Lynn Karwatani, who's our amazing assistant director for partnerships and programming, is here if you would like to add anything. Okay, thanks.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. And just a quick plug for African Studies. If you guys don't know about the lesson plans that we have for you, then I'm going to also put that in the chat as well. We also have a Model African Union for high school students that is just a wonderful opportunity for them to engage with African politics. So if you guys are interested in that, please let us know. But we want to go ahead and just really briefly introduce everyone so everyone gets a chance just to tell us, you know, who you are, what school you're from, what you teach, or if you're a student, any of that. So just really like 10 seconds, because I know our time is just clicking by so quickly. So we'll just start to my right. I'll just go through because I guess we'll go with my screen. So Drew, you're the first one up.
Hi everyone, I'm Drew Medved. I'm the Administrative Assistant for African Studies here at Pitt. And I'm gonna turn it over to Carolyn Brody to introduce herself.
I can't hear you. Oh.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
It takes a little bit for my mic to turn on, but I'm Carolyn Brody. I'm a graduate fellow for the African Studies Department. And I am also my first year as a mental health counseling master's student.
All right, Laura.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I teach science in Baltimore, 2nd and 3rd grade, and I went on the Ethiopia trip a few years back and was wonderful, so I'm really happy to see you.
Beth.
My name is Beth Marsiglio, and I teach French at Shaler Area High School.
Renee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Renee Patrick Mutunga, and I teach high school English at Pittsburgh Obama Academy.
Sandy.
Okay, now I got it. Hi, I'm Sandy Gianella. I am an English as a second language teacher for the intermediate unit, and I've been working at Mount Lebanon School District for almost the last 20 years. I have a quick question for Laura Butcher-Grousey. Did you go to North Allegheny High School?
I did.
I'm Sandy Gianella. I'm Mrs. Gianella. I used to live across the street from you on Clairwyn Avenue.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. And
Talk later.
yeah, I remember. It's nice to see you.
You should steal the thing Laura's doing as an amazing teacher now.
Thank you.
Awesome. Darla?
Hi, everyone. I'm Darla Gerlach, and I attended the Ethiopia trip. It was just a wonderful experience. It's nice to meet you all today. I taught K through 8 STEM. Now I'm teaching in the Master of Arts and Teaching program STEM at Morningside College, which is out in Iowa.
Cool. All right. AJ, Danny?
Hi, I teach at Franklin Regional, and I've been working with the African Studies for a few years now with some science projects. I teach 6th grade science, and it's very, very rewarding, and I appreciate all of your efforts before today too. So it's nice to see some familiar faces from some of the students at Pitt who I worked with this past school year. So nice to see everyone.
Mercy?
Hi everyone, my name is Mercy Jematia. I'm a second year graduate student at Pitt in the School of Education, and I'm also a fellow in the African Studies program.
Awesome. I'm going to skip you, Dr. Griffin L, and because we're going to introduce you. Palumi?
Hi everyone, my name is Kalumi. I'm a second year, 2 weeks to graduation, energy and environment student in the Graduate School of Public and International Affairs, GISPIA, and I'm also a graduate student fellow with the African Studies program. Thanks.
Zachary?
Hi, my name's Zach. I teach at Pittsburgh Open Catholic, and I teach world history and American history.
Ryan?
My name's Ryan. I teach multimedia grades 9 through 12 at Fox Chapel, and also taught high school English for a bit.
Right. C. Tapu.
Hi, I'm Christine Tapu. I teach 11th grade ESL at Pittsburgh Brashear High School, and I'm a returned Fulbright fellow from Hungary and Tanzania.
Oh, cool. All right, Joyce, we're going to introduce you too in a minute. Well, actually, go ahead, since you're doing this, you're doing later. Go ahead, Joyce.
Hi everyone, my name is Joyce. I'm a Fulbright student and I'm currently in Kenya. I teach Kiswahili at the University of Pittsburgh.
Catherine?
Hi, I'm Catherine. I am a trained Montessori teacher and also just started my first year at Winchester Thurston School down the street. And I am preparing to do a summer camp that explores the continent of Africa.
Oh, cool. Okay, Susan?
I'm Susan Tansky. I am a Spanish teacher at Woodland Hills High School.
Wonderful. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Danny. I teach math and science, and I teach at Franklin Regional Middle School. My husband, AJ, we both teach together there. And I also teach for a online worldwide school called Laurel Springs.
Very cool. All right, the other Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I teach literature and English at the Community College of Beaver County.
Great. All right, Kayla?
Hi, we are Kayla and Emily, and we are students at Slippery Rock University.
Oh, great. Welcome. John?
Is there only one John?
Right now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John Stoner. I'm the Executive Director of Academic Affairs here at USIS and a faculty member in the History Department. My African Studies is the center closest to my heart in my own work. I work on the projection of American power into Africa, especially during the Cold War. It's nice to see everyone.
Great. Let me see. Then we have Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Olaoye.
a fourth-year PhD candidate in the Department of English at Idaho State University. Although I'm studying English, but my research focuses on African literature. And my greatest dream after my research is to teach African literature in African Studies department.
Wonderful. Lynn?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Lynn Quartani and I work at the Asian Studies Center and I'm also the USIS engagement manager. But I'm also a part-time student in the Library Science School working on my Library Science School certification. So I'm here with my student hat on. We learned a lot today. It's great to see all of you.
Cool. Kevin?
Hi, I'm Kevin Felter. I teach kindergarten at Folk School.
Bree?
Hi, I'm Brianna Barbarino. I teach at Pittsburgh Arsenal, and I'm a K-5 math learning support teacher.
Great. Garrett?
Hi, I'm Garrett Shaw. I attend Millersville University for early childhood and special education.
Susan?
Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Dawkins. I'm an engagement coordinator in USIS, working with Kathy and Lynn. I'm housed in the Center for Russian, East European, and Eurasian Studies. Happy to be here to listen and learn.
Kayla? Kayla Bear?
I already introduced myself.
Did you? Okay. It keeps switching when everybody speaks. I'm like, okay, let me see. Amy?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Amy Eitzen. I'm the Associate Dean of the College of Education at Bloomsburg University, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm active in anti-racist work, and I do believe, as was mentioned earlier, that having students study about Africa and the history and the culture is so key to that work. So thank you so much for letting me be here today.
Wonderful. Naoma?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my voice is a little gone, but my name is Neoma, and I'm the African Studies Ambassador at Pitt. I'm undergrad, and I'm a senior studying philosophy and epidemiology.
Wonderful. Okay, did I miss anyone? Okay, well, welcome everyone. We're going to turn it over to Macrina to introduce our wonderful speaker. And I hope that you guys enjoy. Remember, ask us any questions and feel free to use the chat rooms.
Well, thank you again, everyone, and welcome. It's really nice to meet everyone, even though not in person, but at least thank you for coming, and we're really excited. So I have now the privilege to introduce Dr. Nosakari Griffinell, who was a student at the University of Pittsburgh and also in the African Studies program. Nosakari Griffinell is a graduate of the University of Pittsburgh School of Education and also received a certificate in African Studies. As a graduate student, Dr. Griffinell studied abroad in Tanzania and Kenya, where he learned Swahili. And I might add that he was my student and I'm very proud of him. We took the trip together to East Africa. So throughout his life, Dr. Griffinell throughout his life as a student, Dr. Griffinell visited 12 African countries, some of which include Ghana, Tanzania, Kenya, Egypt, Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Tunisia. After graduate school, he worked in South Africa for a total of 4 years as a lecturer of inclusive innovation and entrepreneurial development at the University of Cape Town's Graduate School of Business. During his time as a lecturer in South Africa, he traveled to 16 African cities, teaching master classes on the role of dreaming in personal and societal transformation. In addition to teaching across Africa, he and his wife co-taught social entrepreneurship on the Pitt in South Africa Study Abroad program And I'm also proud to add that his wife was our student as well, and is currently a professor at Robert Morris. So currently, Dr. Griffinell is the president of the award-winning Democracy Learning Lab, which is an early childhood literacy organization focusing on meeting Black children at their dreams and academic needs. In 2018, Dr. Griffinell was awarded the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh's prestigious Community Advocate Award. His innovative and inspirational approach to teaching children to read, in-depth book reviews, and insightful articles focusing on his experiences teaching reading throughout the city of Pittsburgh. Dr. Griffinell is married to Dr. Eliada Griffinell. They are the proud parents of 2 energetic boys, Nosakari, the engineer, Griffinell Jr., who is 7, and Onyemachi, the scientist Griffinell, who is 6. So we are delighted and we are excited, Dr. Griffinell, to have you among us, to learn from you, sharing your great experiences and work today. Thank you for joining us. And with that, I welcome you, Dr. Griffinell.
Thank you, Dr. Lele. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lele. Of course, it's always an honor and pleasure being in your presence. As we were joking earlier, many times as a graduate student, I would run over to Africana Studies, get me a cup of coffee or a cup of water, and walk right over to have a full-out dialogue with Dr. Lele, who always had an open door, even though she was working. So I appreciate you. Again, it's a pleasure. Dr. Porter, who was one of my former professors, Dr. Kearns, thank you so much for curating this space. It is, again, an honor and pleasure to be speaking here at this beautiful, beautiful conference. And even Dr. Stoner and I were teaching on the same program way down in South Africa. So it's a pleasure to see you here again too. And send my regards to your wife too. So I'm gonna start my presentation. I'm gonna share my screen. All right. And start from the beginning. Right. All right. So, as stated earlier, I'm the president of the Democracy Learning Lab. Today, we're going to talk about embedding Africa in the school day towards a holistic approach to using Africa picture books in your teaching practice. So just as an introduction to the Democracy Learning Lab, when I was a graduate student at the University of Pittsburgh, I actually studied educational philosophy and social and comparative analysis in education program. However, after returning home from South Africa, we realized our oldest son had a speech delay. And so instead of pursuing some of my academic goals, or even I just started a business, I decided to put all of those things on hold and become a stay-at-home parent. And one of the things I started to do was to do research on how we could support our son in mitigating his speech delay. And one of the things that we found was that if you read to your child, then it supports them in developing the grammatical structure to assist in mitigating the speech delay. So on one hand, I said we have to make sure my son's speech delay is mitigated, make sure he gets a firm foundation. And then my other son, I said, look, we're going to make sure that you are advanced. So when my oldest son would go to day school, my youngest son would stay home with me, and I would teach him all of the basics, or I would teach him the foundations of reading. And by the end of one summer, I read my son's around like 700 books. And my oldest son's speech delay became mitigated. And my youngest son at 2.5 was able to read. So I started to think about like, hey, you know, if I could have this type of impact on my own children, what could I do in the city of Pittsburgh? I started to research the literacy scores in Pittsburgh and saw that they were extremely low, particularly in the African American community. And so one of the things I started to say was, hey, let me organize an approach. Let me start to organize programs to run across the city. And so I started to partner with the Carnegie Public Library, where I would do storytime events. And then I volunteered as a reading buddy. And then I started to create my own programs that specifically spoke to the dreams of Black children, while at the same time, I also wanted to meet them at their academic needs. And so that's when I started to develop an approach and develop this organization to specifically focus on literacy. However, my love for books and my love for, in particular, Africa books begins with my mother, who was a school librarian, or what she called herself, an assistant librarian who worked in schools. However, she was most of the times the only person in the library, so I always refer to her as a librarian, but she was the person who introduced me to books about Africa. And I'm gonna go into detail about, her approach and how her approach guided me to my own perspective. One of the first things that she bought my sons when they were babies, especially my oldest son, was a set of books, and they were all African books. One was Mafaro's Beautiful Daughters, and another one was called The Viganani and the Tree Toad, which is a book that I'm going to present today. And I remember that book because that was actually my favorite book of all time as a child. So I just want to give you a couple of things that the Democracy Learning Lab give you a couple of points that a couple of points of who we are. We meet children and family at their dreams. One of the things that I found out was that you can't talk about reading with kids unless you connect it to their dreams. And so one of the things I would always do is say, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a kid might say, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. I want to be an artist. I'm like, hey, I got the book for you. And I would get them a book that was culturally relevant and, more importantly, personally relevant for them and their family, so that they would be able to see reading not just as an arduous task to do in school or do at home for homework, but they would see it as something that informed their dreams. Two, as I just said, we connect books to children's dreams, and we create innovative content and innovative learning experiences that enable children to connect dreaming to reading. And more importantly, well, not more importantly, but as important, we preach the gospel of reading. Now, I talk about the gospel of reading primarily because if kids want to be who they say they want to be, then they have to read. If we're going to transform the world or transform our communities within a very specific context, then we have to read books that will inform our theory of change in action. So my perspective, there was a historian that I learned from as a kid. My mom would take my brother and I out to lectures at Temple University in Philadelphia. And one of the lecturers, or one of the professors who would constantly lecture, was a guy by the name of John Henrik Clarke. He had a quote, and I'm going to read it. The history of Africans in the Americas and the Caribbean island is incomplete without an examination of the African past. This background is indispensable to an intelligent approach to African American history. Now, I had a conversation before, and one of the things that I always talk about as a Black man born in America or a person of African descent, I can't be who I am unless I connect myself to my African heritage. I was born in Philadelphia in a working class community. My mom gave me a name, Nosakari, which means God's way is the only way, because she always had what we call a Pan-African perspective, that we are all interconnected as people of African descent, while at the same time we are unique. We're not all the same, but we have an interconnectedness in our common heritage and our common struggles. which I could go into a little in depth a little bit later. One of the other key scholars that I was exposed to as a kid was Molefi Asante, and his perspective of Afrocentricity. He's actually the father of Afrocentricity. He focused on us understanding people of African descent as agents of change, not just people who are acted upon. And so when I attempted to select books for this presentation, I selected books with the intent of showing characters, Black African protagonist characters with a sense of agency. Now, of course, some of the stories are African fables, so they don't necessarily have human beings in them, but they come from African culture, which in other words, seeks to inspire people to act in different ways. So it's still speaking to an Afrocentric perspective. Do I have any questions before I go forward? All right. So whenever I do presentations, I always like to frame the problem statement. So the problem that I see around using African themed picture books in schools is this. What is the problem? Africa is often taught from a single story perspective or a dehumanizing perspective. Who does it impact? Well, it impacts children, because children will grow up with a distorted view of Africa. I remember as a 5th grade teacher, I was having a conversation with my students, and my students were saying, well, you don't want to go to Africa because they have mosquitoes as big as your hand, and they don't have houses, is this and that. And I stopped as I was talking in my class, and I stopped and said, where did you learn that? And my students just looked. And I said, those are stereotypes. Those are things that are not true. And so the next day I found a quote from Marcus Garvey, who literally in the early 1900s was, quoted people as saying the exact same thing. So again, Africa is taught from a distorted perspective. And when it's taught from a distorted perspective, what happens is that people start to look at Africa in a negative way. Where does this problem occur? It occurs in schools across America, and it occurs all throughout society. Why is this important? Well, if we are to grow children who are going to be global citizens, who are going to care about the world and care about Africa in particular, we have to address this problem. And how do we address this problem? We address this problem by pragmatically integrating or including African-themed books into our daily teaching practice. Now, I use the term pragmatically because if I had my way, I believe that we should do a full-out integration or inclusion of African-themed books into schools. However, I know that that's a difficult task. It should be an African unit in every single school across America. I know that's a difficult task. So when I say pragmatically integrate or implement books, what I'm specifically saying is that we can use African themed books in every single subject that we teach. Thus, this is why we're here today, because I'm going to show you and I'm going to expose you to some books that we can actually use in our daily teaching practices. You already might have read the objectives when you registered, so I'm not going to go over that. Here goes a quick question, which I kind of sort of answered. Why is it important to embed Africa into the teaching day? Anybody want to take that on? I'll take that as a no. So, okay, yep.
Oh, sorry about that. So I think the big thing we try to understand is looking through the lens of history. Africa plays a huge role in so many things, and part of it, another thing I'm trying to work through in my classroom is we tend to focus, like you said, kind of the victimization narrative. Like I teach, U.S. history. It's, well, look what happened to them, not look what they brought to the country.
Right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because, I would call myself a Freirean scholar. So Freire would always talk about the concept of working with people versus working for people. When I was a lecturer at the Graduate School of Business, one of the things that I would have to do was teach study abroad classes. So I had a group of students who studied abroad who were from Germany, France, Australia, and a few other European countries, and even America. And so one of the things that we did was we worked with local township entrepreneurs on their businesses. And so when they first came in, the first thing that they said was, we're going to come in, we're going to help them develop the foundations of business so they can have a profitable enterprise. And I said, wait, we have to understand who they are. We have to understand why this particular enterprise is important to them. And this was a concept that I constantly had to reinforce with my students, because they went in trying to save these entrepreneurs versus looking at them as individuals with agency who, in lack of better words, they can learn with and learn from, versus them coming in trying to teach. So I'm glad that you brought that perspective up. Thank you so much. Chimamanda Adichie has a TED Talk where she talks about the single story as it relates to Africa. She says, the single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make the story become the only story. So when I was a kid, I don't know how many of you were born in '82 or before that, but I remember when Lion King came out. And the one disappointment that I had with Lion King was that Disney went everywhere in the world and they had human beings, yet when they went to Africa, they simply had animals. And I said, wait, you mean to tell me there's no African folklore that they could have created? They couldn't make Abiyoyo, which is one of my kids' favorite stories. They couldn't make Abiyoyo from Reading Rainbow. They couldn't make that into a story. But going back to it, it becomes a single narrative where the only thing we want to talk about as it relates to Africa is animals, the beautiful animals of the African continent, or we only want to talk about Africa within a rural perspective. But there are other robust notions of Africa that we need to bring out. I'll go through this. This is from a book called Arthur Schomburg. Arthur Schomburg was a Caribbean scholar from Puerto Rico, and he had a large role in inspiring many of the Pan-Africanists who would go back to their home countries and lead independence movements, namely Kwame Nkrumah. But when he was a kid, his teacher told him that Africa doesn't have any histories or heroes worth studying. Now, this was an explicit way in which people excluded Africa from the continent, from the curriculum. However, when I was a kid, this is a picture of me looking all dapper with two parts, when I was a kid, I was taught, I never forget this experience. I was in my social studies class and my teacher said, in Africa, people worship rocks and trees. And I raised my hand and I told her what I had learned from my mom and what I learned from the different African and African-American scholars who talked about Africa. I said, no, they built great civilizations like Egypt, Ghana, Mali, Songhai. And my teacher said, no, what does it say in the book? And I said, but that's not true. And my teacher said, I said, my mama said, 1, 2, and 3. And my teacher said, who giving you the grade? Is your mother the teacher or am I the teacher? And so one of the experiences that I had as a young Black boy was that of constantly grappling with my identity and who I was as a person of African descent, because it was not reflected in the curriculum. So Arturo Schomburg, He was told that you don't have any history worth studying. It was explicit. I was told it was explicit too. It was kind of implicit, explicit. But when my teacher said Africans worship rocks and trees, and that was the only thing that we said about Africa, essentially, I was told the same thing that Arturo Schoenberg was taught. Now, I'm gonna give you a recent experience before I go into the books. I was listening to my son's class. He's a second grader, and he was his teacher was reading him a book in his English language arts class about money. It's called Money Matters. I actually found the book, and in the book they had random references of Africa. One of the references was, you know, in Africa they trade glass beads. Glass beads are considered money. And my son is listening to this, taking it in. And then another part was another quote that I took directly from the book was, in Africa, wearing many bracelets is a sign of wealth. Now, the first thing I did was, after the class was over, I said, son, let me show you. I went to our drawer where I collected different forms of currency in the different African countries that I visited. I said, look, you see this? This is from Mozambique. This is from Angola. This is from South Africa, where you were born. This is from Nigeria. This is from Ghana. And I'm like, these are all forms of money. However, when they talked about these glass beads being currency, they only talked about Africa within a communal context or a context from way back in the past. They didn't talk about Africa as it relates to modern day. And I said, son, one of the questions that you have to ask is this: where in Africa did they trade beads for currency? Where in Africa are bracelets a sign of wealth? I said, I looked in the back in the references, I couldn't even find a reference to this. But this is what kids are learning. And more importantly, my son, who is his mother is Nigerian. He was born in South Africa. He has an African name. He would literally, you know, he could potentially be teased because of what he is learning in the books. Just like as a kid, I was teased. I was called African booty scratch. I was called all these negative things as a result of the things that people were learning in schools and in the media. So I want to walk you through a scenario. This is how I see a school day looking. And this could be basically a K through 2 or K through 3 classroom space. I see the day starting off like this. Here goes homeroom, right? So in many cases, from what I observed, you might get around, 20, 25 minutes in homeroom. So if we were to teach one day or one period, and that period was homeroom, what book would we use? And I think a great book to introduce Africa is a book called My African Vacation. Now, this book takes students through a journey through different African countries. They visit Kenya, where they see Mount Kilimanjaro. They visit Ghana, where they go to the Cape Coast slave castle. They go to Benin. They go to South Africa. They go to Zimbabwe, where they see or Zambia, where they see the Victoria Falls. This is a great book that provides students with a introduction on the different parts of Africa, while at the same time exposing them to some beautiful facts. This book aids students in demystifying Africa. What I mean by that is, if you read this book, you'll start to understand that Africa has beautiful things about it that's just not discussing, how can I put it, animals, because of course you see it on the cover, but it's just not about that. As I said before, it's a great introduction to the regions and nations of Africa. Now, some people might say, hey, I'm a math teacher, how can I teach about Africa in math? Well, I'm glad you asked. Baby Goes to Market is an amazing book, right? Baby Goes to Market. A mother goes to the market with her baby, and she meets different entrepreneurs in the marketplace that are selling goods. Now, each one of the entrepreneurs provides the baby with different things. So one woman entrepreneurs gives the baby a banana. Another entrepreneur gives the baby some chin chin, and another one gives them oranges. And so it's a beautiful story where they give the baby maybe 3 bananas, and then the baby eats 1. So as a math teacher, you could do simple subtraction, and you could also create your own math problems. You could say, hey, if baby and mom, if the baby and mama went to the market 3 days and they got the same amount of bananas each day, how many bananas would they have? You know, if we gave them 3 plus 3 plus 3 is what? Is 9. And if baby ate 3 bananas each time, how many bananas do we have left over? Well, 9 minus 3 is what? Is 6. So you can create math problems out of this book, while at the same time you could do simple counting exercises. The interesting thing is that I actually read this book. If you can see in the back, well, you can't see in the background, but in this in the space that I'm at now, we call this our family learning lab. And so I have whiteboards, and so we actually, my sons and I, we actually created bar graphs out of this and did multiple problems so that they could stay sharp in their adding and subtraction. Another beautiful book that you could use to talk about math is My Rows and Coins, My Rows and Piles of Coins. It's a beautiful story about a young boy who wants to save his money to buy something special. Every day he goes to the marketplace with his mother and earns coins for his work. Throughout the story, he stacks his coins. So this book is actually a book that could be read. It's a book that could be read in 2nd and 3rd grades, and you could do multiplication problems based upon this book. So it's a pretty amazing book. As I said, it's a perfect complement to a math class. And of course, all of these books can be read in an English language arts class. Social studies. So one of the things that I notice in my son's social studies classes is that they talk about family traditions, they talk about citizenships, and they talk about some other concepts. And so before the Christmas break, they talked about, what are your family traditions during the holiday? And so for this particular session, I thought it would be great to talk about what a particular holiday would look like in Africa. And so I love this book. It's called Easter in Lagos. This book focuses on a little girl wanting her grandmom to spend Easter with her. Now, her grandmom, she's told that her grandmom is going to spend Easter in Abuja, which is another city in Nigeria. And so the little girl is sad because every single year the mother or the grandmother spends Easter with her. And so she essentially writes a letter to her grandmother on why she should spend the next Easter with her. And so the reason why I love this book, this is probably one of my favorite books that I've read all year. The reason why it's my favorite is because it talks about Africa within a modern context. And what I mean by a modern context, it essentially talks about, it shows you how people in Nigeria, it shows, I'm sorry, something has popped up on my screen. Okay, so it shows you how people in Nigeria celebrate Easter. One, it shows you the customs, it shows you the clothes that they wear and the food that they eat. And it shows children Africa within a modern context. It shows you what city life looks like. And I think that that's extremely important because in many cases, people only see Africa within a rural context, which is okay, but we also need to give people a robust perspective of what Africa looks like. And I can't share my screen anymore. Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. The next book that I want to share with you is written by an African-American woman from Philadelphia. But it is an important book because it essentially is the experience of most first-generation Africans, or it is the experience of most African students who study abroad in American universities. This is a powerful book about, it's a powerful book teaching people about the power and purposes of names. So as I stated earlier, my name means God's way is the only way. My youngest son, Onyemachi, his name means he who God knows. And so whenever we talk about names, or African names in particular, or if you talk to somebody who is a first generation American, or this is their first time studying in the States, they always talk about how they know when their name is called, or is about to be called in class. So when I was a kid, everybody would get their name called, and then the teacher would stop and just butcher it. They would say, Noka, Naka, can I just call you, Nelson for short? Or they would try to make up a name. I remember one time, my brother, his name is Umtakufu Umtamani, and his teacher said, I can't pronounce that. I'm just gonna call you Eminem. And one day his teacher called him Eminem in front of my mom, and my mom was like, no, his name has a meaning, his name has a purpose, and I would prefer if you called my son by his full name. This book does
Did we lose our speaker?
That's maybe good. While they redo the tech a little bit, take a breath.
Yeah.
Wow, right? So much to think about.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's a lot.
Shout out to Nosakari.
Yeah, amazing.
Where did everybody go?
Muted.
I don't know what happened to everyone.
We're all still here, Anna Maria.
Oh, okay.
We're just in mute mode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
All right, welcome back.
I'm looking up that book now. It looks really cool.
I'm still here too. This is a really neat list of books. I'm enjoying them.
Yeah. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you all a link to my Facebook group. And what was I going to say? By Monday, I'm going to say Monday morning, preferably Sunday evening, I'm going to actually post a full review of these books because I know I'm rushing through them. So, and then here goes another important note, that these books are for kids, but these books can also be good tools for you. And I was telling this to Dr. Kearns, there was a guy who won a bunch of Jeopardy challenges, right? And they asked him in an interview, how did you prepare for Jeopardy? And do you know what he said? He said, I read children's books. I was reading, I did a talk in South Africa a couple of weeks ago, and I started my talk out with a book that's not Africa related, but it's related to the human experience. It's called Trying. And that book essentially tells us that if we want to pursue our dreams, we just need to take small steps. I read that to my children and it ministered to me. I said, I just need to try, But I'm gonna go back to the presentation. Is that okay? Thumbs up? All right.
Yep, and we'll just start recording again, please.
All right. All right, we're back. Can everybody hear me? Thumbs up? Mm-hmm. All right. So Your Name is a Song is a powerful book teaching people about the power and purpose of names. So the little girl is in class, her teacher mispronounces her name, and she goes to her mama and says, I wish I had an easier name to say. Oh. And her mother says, wait a minute, I think it's stalling. Oh, there you go. Okay, her mother says, no, your name is a song. And she starts to literally sing the different names that people might have. These names are African names. These names are African-American names. These names are even names like Bob. And so this is a perfect book that teachers can use to say, look, when we
Love this.
Kids' names.
This is so relevant. Like I'm responsible for this issue.
Right.
Names like I'm not on mute. Oops.
Right. And so, I had a little trouble with my son's in the beginning of school year. My son's teacher was mispronouncing his name, and it's a human mistake. But I told my son, I said, son, I can't be there with you every day. Although I'm there every day because of COVID. I said, son, you're gonna have to get this teacher to say your name correctly, and you got to do it nicely. You just can't say, this is how you say my name. Although that's how I felt as a parent, And so, and he looked at me and he's just like, it's okay, he's nice. And I said, it's not about your teacher being nice. I said, what it's about, son, is that your name has a meaning. When I was in college, I used to, I what I would call anglicize my name. I told people my name is No Sakir, just so people can say it correctly. And so when I got to college, I would tell people my name was an African name. And they said, ain't no African name. I ain't never heard no name like that. And so one of my classmates had a friend who had the same name. And so she was saying, and she teased me a lot. She's like, I have a friend in Nigeria with your name. And I said, really? She said, yeah, her name is pronounced No Sakari. And I kind of slow it down even to the day. So I say No Sakari just to slow it up, which was probably a mistake too, right? But that's neither here nor there. I remember I spoke at a forum, and a professor who my name came from his city or his state, Edo State. He said, son, what's your name again? I said, No Sakari. He said, you always have to say your name correctly. And I said, yeah. I said, but why are you telling me that, sir? And he said, the reason why you say your name correctly is because every time people call you by your name, they're calling you by your purpose. I said, huh. He said, every time they call you by your name, they're calling your ancestor spirit who are with you, who are protecting you, who are pushing you through, son. So that's why you say your name correctly. So when I told my son, I said, this is how you got to tell your teacher to say your name, because your name means something. It's a paragraph. We named you No Sakari Abu, not Abu, Alabo, Abu is my middle name, Alabo Ibube, which means God's way is the only way for the chief who glorifies God. I said, your name means something, so they got to say it right. He said, okay, and eventually, we got that straightened out. But this is a great book that teaches everybody, because all of our names mean something, whether we know it or not. When I was an intern at Shinley High School, a young lady had a baby, and I was like, what did you name your baby? And she was like, I just gave him a name, Dimitri. And I looked up Dimitri in Greek mythology, and it had a particular meaning. And I went back to the young lady and said, your son's name means X, Y, and Z. She said, oh my God, I didn't know that. I just named him this because it sounded cool. It would be kids who I would meet, and I would say, what does your name mean? And they said, it doesn't have a meaning. I said, what do you want it to mean? So this is a perfect book that kind of talks about the concept of names and meanings, and how I would add on how you can actually ascribe or create your own meaning to your own name. Here goes one of a great book that talks about, it's called The Day Gogo Went to Vote. Now, Gogo is a South African term or a South African word that means grandmother. So when people say I gotta go to my Gogo, it's actually referring to someone's grandmother. But this is an amazing, powerful story that talks about a grandmother getting her first opportunity to vote at the end of apartheid. The grandmother educates her granddaughter about what it was like, what life was like in apartheid South Africa, and why it's important to vote. The grandmom in the story gets a illness and she becomes sick. And so there is the threat that she won't vote. And so her family and community come together to make sure she votes. And one of the key things that she says in the book is, you know, she tells her son, when her son says, well, you just can't vote because the lines are going to be too long. She said, do you want me to die and not vote? I said, man, that is a powerful question. So this is a book that could be used to talk about the history of apartheid in South Africa, what life was like at the end of apartheid South Africa. It also could be used for all of you social studies teachers. It also could be used as a tool to talk about what life was like at the end of Jim Crow in the United States, because of course, Jim Crow, for those of us who may or may not know or may forgot, Jim Crow is essentially a system of racial segregation, just like apartheid was a system of racial segregation in South Africa. And being someone who lived in South Africa for 4 years, there are so many strong connections as it relates to our experiences, both African-American and South African, which I could go into detail when you ask me later on. And in fact, a brief thing is I actually did research on a local youth-based educational reform organization in South Africa. And most of them were either children during the end of apartheid, what the leadership was, the upper leadership, but the young people were what they would call born free. So a lot of the things that this book actually talks about is written by an activist who comes from a strong, what they would call struggle family, Sisulu. I think her great-grandfather or father is Victor Sisulu, who was one of the ANC freedom fighters, which of course I can go into detail later on if you ask me that question. Science. You can also use African themed books in science. Now, I'm going to share this book because Wangari Maathai is actually a Pitt alum and a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I had the opportunity to actually hear her speak when I was a graduate student at the University of Pittsburgh. I actually missed an important class and got an incomplete for that class. And I had to do most of the work during the summer, but that's neither here nor there. But I got an opportunity to hear this Nobel Peace Prize winner speak. This book is an amazing book because it talks about Wangari Maathai connecting her indigenous knowledge and her academic knowledge to essentially provide a, how can I put it? Not a service, it's a service in a sense, but how she used her indigenous and academic knowledge to essentially transform society. I love this book because every time a person comes to her with a problem within their particular community context, she listens to the person and then gives them seedlings to trees. Now, of course, you know, she's given them things to solve this particular problem, but she's also given these women seeds of hope. I love this book also because it is illustrated by one of my favorite illustrators, a guy by the name of Kadir Nelson. Kadir Nelson, his work tends to capture both the storyline and the power of the characters. I can go on and on and on about Kadir Nelson, who's a fine artist, but he used a lot of his fine art skills in developing or illustrating children's books, which are one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites is Mambo. Now, if you all work with young dreamers, you know, like my oldest son, he wants to be the engineer. Let me tell you, I read him this book and this boy turned to me and said, "Dad, can we build a go-kart?" I said, I don't know how to build a go-kart. Your grandfather, who's the dean over at Pitt, who's an engineer by training, He's going to be the one that probably helps you out. But this book will literally inspire children to engage in hands-on activities. I love this book because this kid is a young creative and innovative, a genius. You know, he goes around his community creating toys out of discarded materials. Now, when I was in South Africa, one of the key terms that always came up in the literature was this thing called reverse innovation, which you take something that's used for one particular purpose and then you repurpose it to do something else. This story is written about a young boy who actually does this. This story is situated, excuse me, within the setting of the story is in Zambia. This boy and his friend actually build kind of like a go-kart, which is, like I said, amazing. And it literally still has my son every single day asking, Dad, when we gonna build the go-kart? I'm like, we got to buy the materials and talk to your grandfather. You know, it's an inspirational book for kids who want to be engineers, or if you just got a kid who just likes touching stuff and likes building things. You know, it's a perfect book for him or her. Here goes a book that I totally forgot about as a kid, but when I saw the cover, I said, I remember this book, 2 Ways to Count to 10. This book teaches children how to critically think, and it also teaches them how to count. So the book is framed around the leopard, who is the king of the animals, and he wants to create a succession plan. So he says to the animals in his kingdom, whoever can count to 10, I'm gonna throw this spear in the air, and whoever can count to 10, by the time this spear hits the ground, you will become the king. And so every animal comes up and they try to count to 10. Now, one animal, I'm not gonna get a story away, is a wise animal. So instead of counting to 10 by ones, he observes everybody counting. And eventually what he does is he said, well, I'm not going to get to 10 by counting by one, so I'm gonna count to 10 by twos. And this particular animal becomes the king because he didn't have what they talk about in the entrepreneurship space as a fix-it mindset, you know, or a fixed mindset. He didn't do it the way everybody else did it. He said, wait up, let me think about this alternatively. Let me count by twos and see if I can get it that way. Now, another quick way to count by tens is to say 5, 10, right? Or another even quicker way, I'm gonna count to 10 by 10. 10, done, I'm the king, but that's neither here nor there. But this book teaches kids how to critically think and innovatively think, because what this particular animal attempted to do is solve a problem using what the entrepreneurship literature talks about as an alternative view, which is counting by twos instead of counting by one. Now, this is my favorite book. If I was to give an all-time book, you know, if I was to give a Nobel Peace Prize, it would probably be to this book, primarily because my mama read me this book so many times, and I can always hear the voices that she would use when she would sing, the voices she would use when she would say the book, when she would read the book. Excuse me, I need a couple of sips of this coffee sitting next to me. And so my mom, like I said before, this was actually the first book that my mom gave to me to read to my oldest son. This is a powerful book about discovering your talents and solving problems. So this book has a bunch of animals and a spider all living in a house together. They work on a farm together. And each day they cook some stew. And this monster called a Vigilant comes and steals their stew. And so what happens in this story is that the animals try to fight the monster, and they all lose except for the tree toad. And the tree toad, in struggling with the monster, accidentally discovers her talent. And in discovering her talent, she literally says, I thank God that God made me this way. So one of the things that this book does is teaches kids that it's okay to be who you are because God made you special. He put you on this earth. Now, if you can't say God in school, because I know some of us are public school teachers, you can say, you know, we were all created to do something in this world. We just all have to discover what that something is. Conclusion. I'm a Baptist preacher, so whenever, well, I'm not a Baptist preacher, but I went to Baptist churches all my life. So whenever we say in conclusion, we can literally, you know, folks like me can literally go 2 more hours. So I'm going to say in conclusion immediately, hopefully. I think that we can pragmatically implement African themed books in our courses, whether it be one book a term or a few books a term. And eventually what you would have is you could potentially have a unit. And that's why I talked about it in the beginning, is that we could pragmatically do it. Like I said before, I think that we should have an African unit in every single elementary school, middle school, high school, throughout the United States and throughout the world. However, I know time is of the essence, especially during COVID. You know, my wife, she's a professor, as Dr. Lele said. You know, I see my wife sometimes working 18 hours a day. You know, she got meetings all throughout the day. So I know how time is limited, especially when you also have to teach. So one of the things that I'm going to say is that we can pragmatically use these books, whether it's once a semester or once a term, twice a term, and eventually, as I said, we could build a unit, whether that's at the end of the school year or whether that's at the end of a, how can I put it, a 2 or 3 year term, but we can do it. So this is my contact information. And of course, I'm gonna be available in the, excuse me, I'm gonna be available in the chat room. Let me share, if you all have any questions, feel free to ask them. And I'm gonna put my website, let me see, put this in the chat. I'm gonna put, okay, let me take
And while he puts his website there in the chat, you will be able to ask questions during the breakout rooms because he's going to be going into each breakout room to check on those. And so just for the, and then he'll also be in a chat room during the second breakout room where you could actually talk to him even more in detail. But because of the sake of time, let's go ahead and just do a 5-minute break. I know we had said a 15-minute break before, but if we can just do a 5-minute break and be back here by 10:10, and we'll get launched into just some other African books that you can have access to, and then we'll go into the breakout rooms. So everybody take a 5-minute bathroom stretch break. Dr. Griffinell, did you have some last words? Are you putting anything in the chat? Are you good for break?
Yeah. I mean, I can stick around if people want to talk to me during the break too, you know?
Okay, great. Yes. And remember, Dr. Maureen Porter and Dr. Macrina Lille, if you guys can go ahead into your chat rooms, and Dr. Griffin, I'll go ahead into your chat room as well. Yep. And so if you guys want to talk to them during the break, please go and talk to them. And we'll see you guys back in 5 minutes, 10:10.
Okay.
If you go to the more button at the bottom, then you can see the different groups.
I'm trying to.
Oh, you know what? I got to launch them.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, now they're open. Awesome. Well, that 5 minutes went really fast. I did say 10:10, right? Man, that was a fast 5 minutes, but I at least could heat some oatmeal up. I think people are still in the chat rooms, but we want to go ahead and get started with our next little section. So Kathy, take over for us.
Okay, I will share my screen. Can everyone see that? Anna Maria, are you good with the PowerPoint?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, great. So first of all, I just want to thank Dr. Griffin-El again for such an outstanding presentation. I was really interested in his discussion about being a global citizen. And of course, all of the recommended books were amazing. And I was chatting with my colleagues, Lynn Karawatani, who's the, again, Assistant Director for Partnerships and Programming, and my colleague, Susan Dawkins, who I did not realize before was here. I want to just give a shout out to Susan because she is the point person for the Summer Institute for Global Educators. And we were talking about how amazing Dr. Griffin-El's presentation was, and we would like to incorporate some of his books into our programming, some book recommendations into our programming, and also his wonderful presentation as we think about the programming for the Summer Institute for Global Educators. So just wanted to mention that because it was a fantastic presentation and the books looked amazing. So anyway, so also thanks to you, Dr. Carnes and Dr. Lele of the wonderful African Studies program here at USIS for inviting us today and for inviting me to talk about this incredible Africa Access website. Here you can see the link for the website, and I'll share this PowerPoint with the African Studies program so that it can be disseminated after the workshop if participants want to access the resources and links that I'm going to share throughout this presentation. So the information I'm going to briefly share right now came from an outstanding webinar. You can see the link here to view the webinar. I attended this webinar this past September. I think Anna Maria, you and Dr. Lele had told me about it, and it was called Accessing African Children's Literature Through Online Resources. It was sponsored by the Africa Committee of the International Committee of the American Library Association. And the first speaker that they had, Brenda Randolph, who's the president of Africa Access and the outreach director at Howard University's Title VI Center for African Studies, discussed the founding of Africa Access in 1989. She founded this website to, quote, as she put it, combat stereotypes about Africa and help schools, public libraries, and parents improve the quality of their K-12 collections on Africa. So Ms. Randolph spoke a lot about the evolution of this incredible resource. In 1991, in collaboration with the African Studies Association, Africa Access founded the Children's Africana Book Award, CABA, that honors the authors and illustrators of outstanding K-12 books on Africa every year. And we're going to go to the website in just a minute of Africa Access, and I'll show you the link to CABA, and you can see all the award-winning books for every year. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if some of the books Dr. Griffin-El mentioned were award winners. The award now includes 116 titles and hundreds of authors and illustrators. And every January, they sponsor a Meet the Author webinar series. And in February, they post recorded webinars with African authors that you can access on the Africa Access website. So these would be great resources for educators in the classroom to utilize. And so we'll look at the website when I finish the brief PowerPoint presentation, and we can see where the CABA link is on the website. When she gave her talk in the webinar, Ms. Randolph talked about questions to consider, and I think these might be good for conversation, like maybe even in the breakout rooms that we're going to do. How well do we as librarians and teachers give voice to newcomers in America? That was one question Ms. Randolph asked in the webinar. How well do we support and expand their knowledge of their homelands in our classrooms? How well do we champion their pride in their cultures as they move through our schools? And she had some thoughts on African children's literature. She said, quote, books and online resources that shine a spotlight on the fascinating and varied continent that Africa is, breaks down stereotypes, and it helps to produce young people who ask African immigrant students in their classrooms intelligent questions and work with them to solve local and global problems. What students read affects what they think, what they believe, and how they behave in our diverse world. So I thought that was really important food for thought, and touches on a number of points that Dr. Griffin L. made as well. So that was really valuable from the webinar. And then Ms. Randolph talked about some second generation African American authors of note. And I think they are all on the Africa Access website as well, these authors and their books. She referred to this as one of the most exciting trends in children's Africana are the second generation American authors. And many of these authors listed here are second generation African American authors. And then finally, she mentioned the World Area Book Awards and the Children's Africana Book Award, so CABA, the Middle East Book Award, the South Asia Book Award, America's Book Award, and the Freeman Award all comprise the World Area Book Awards, and they have a presence at conferences such as the National Council for Social Studies and the National Council for Teachers of English. So those are some resources, and I'm going to share my screen again, and I want to share the website. Are you seeing the website for Africa Access now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so this is the home page, and this is where the CABA awards are listed, the Children's Africana Book Awards. And if you scroll down, of course, they did the 2020, I guess they did this virtually, so this is recorded. And so you can watch that. And then they have the winners for 2020, 2019. I mean, it goes back a couple years, and you can click to see the winners for some excellent resources for books to use in the classroom. They also have, let me go back to the homepage. They have teaching lesson plans and links. Lots of resources for educators. Read Africa are their recommended reads, and they also, she spoke in the webinar about this really cool Read Africa poster and challenge. And so this is something that they promote every year. There are picture books for elementary school students, chapter books, high school books that they recommend. And then in the Read Africa Challenge, if you read one or more books from a Read Africa list, and you can comment on the book, they have like a really cool area where adults and children can write reviews of the books. And they even have these different ways that you can make reviews: video, poster, letters, caricature, portrait. It's really cool. So anyway, this is the really amazing Africa Access website. And that was, again, part of this wonderful webinar that I attended. And I can go ahead and put the links in the chat as well for both the webinar for our educators today to access and the Africa Access website.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. Really appreciate that. Let me just throw up this poll to everyone.
Just as a add-on to what you just mentioned, Kathy, they have a Facebook group too, or a Facebook page that they announced the CABA Awards on, and it was amazing. They did a whole presentation, so that's another element. If you already mentioned it.
That's great. Does everybody see how to do the poll? I see we have about 13 people that did it, but there's 33 people on here. So all you do is click in to it. All right. So just so you guys can see, already people have been using Africa Books. So that's wonderful. And we can also see if you guys plan on using Africa Books in your classroom. It should be I plan on using. Looks like I have a typo. All right, let's see what we got here. Great. 3 or 4, 50%, 5 or more, 38%. That's wonderful. Okay. One other question we had was about administrative support. If you guys have administrative support for sharing on Africa Books in your classroom. Great. And polling, share results. It looks like a lot of you guys do have 35% said a lot, and only 1 said none. So that's good. Great. And let's see, I think I might have one more question. Can you think of anyone that you'd want to share this, what you learned with, you know? Great. Everyone says yes. Everyone has someone they want to share. So that's great, Dr. Griffinell. I think it was a success. It was such a wonderful talk. Okay, so we want to get into breakout rooms so you guys can discuss this more. So I'm going to let Dr. Griffinell share how the breakout rooms are going to go. And then I'm also going to give you guys directions on how to get into your breakout room. So let me first let Dr. Griffinell share what content, what you guys are going to be discussing in your breakout rooms. And then I'm going to explain so that everybody gets in a breakout room how to do this. So don't go into the breakout rooms until after Dr. Griffinell has shared and after I tell you which breakout room you're going to. Go for it, Dr. Griffinell.
Right. So again, thank you again for trying to take all these different screens down. Feel like my computer got infected with viruses. No. So the way that the groups are going to work is that I have 2 books that I would like you to listen to. Now, of course, if we were in person, you know, we would have the books and people could read them together. And so the first book it's called Baby Goes to Market. This book is for elementary from, wait on. I need another sip of that coffee. This is for people in K through second grade or third grade. And then Mama Miti, which I'm putting in now. Mama Miti is for third grade on up. This is the biography I mentioned earlier. This book can be used, I particularly selected a biography for the upper grades because a biography can be used, in all grades, or yeah, in all grades, but in particular, you could piece this apart in the upper grades from 3 to 12. I know that's a distorted age range, you know, but that's the books that I thought that would be most helpful. So if you are an elementary school teacher, I'm going to come into your chat and I'm going to copy and paste Baby Goes to Market. But just in case I'm not able to come to your group first, if all those individuals who are elementary school teachers, if you can grab this Baby Goes to Market link, you can copy that and just be prepared to watch that video. And then Mama Miti, everybody from grades 3 to 12, you all can watch that video. And the purpose of the group is for you all to start to have a discussion on how you would design a lesson plan. What standards would you use? And you know, you could bring in other standards. You take, for example, Mama Miti might speak to the UN Development Goals, which some schools, I actually interviewed a couple of years ago for a position, and they were like, hey, we want to use the UN Millennial Goals as a part of our core curriculum. How would that look if you were to teach that? So you could use other goals and standards too that speak to the learning experience that you would like to create for your students. That makes sense? Any questions? All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Great.
let's roll.
Okay, so what's going to happen now? The breakout rooms, I've opened them. So let me explain how you're going to go. If you scroll down, there is pre-K through 5th grade, A, pre-K through 5th grade B, middle school, high school A, high school B. And, oh, I need to put a college, don't I? I will add a college here as well, because I know there's some people that are teaching in college, and so you can discuss with college. So all you're going to do, let me just add it real quick. Oh, people have already come. Looks like people already went in to breakout rooms. So I can add, I have to close it to add one. Let me just add a room for college. All right, add that room. Okay, now they're all open. So if there's more than 5 people in a room, go to the other elementary room. If there's, you know, or the high school room. I opened 2 for both just in case there's too many people in one room. So just slip out and slip back in. So all you do is go to more and then find the breakout rooms, and you can scroll down and click into your breakout room. And just let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, I do not see where to scroll on my screen. Let me see. If you go to the very bottom, do you see like chat, record, live transcript, reactions at the very bottom? And then there's a little thing that says more with 3 dots. That's where you want to click.
Oh.
Wait, Anna Maria, can I go to a breakout room if I'm a co-host?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, you should be able to go.
Okay, how do I?
If you go down to more, should I share? I wonder if I can just share my screen. So you just click here on more.
I don't see more.
Yeah, I don't see more either.
No.
So, yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can assign you guys to a room then. What,
Okay. I'll go to the high school room.
Okay, Kathy, let me just see if I can just assign you. Okay. Yep, assign to high school. All right. Okay, and Beth.
Can I go to an elementary one, please?
Yes. Beth, let me just assign to. Okay. All right. Who else do I need to assign to a room? Darla, okay.
Yeah, thanks, Anna Marie.
Yes, good to see you, by the way. Where you want to go to college?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm.
Yep, gotcha. Okay, who's next? Palumi,
The college.
you want to go to college to teach
Yes,
college?
thanks.
Okay,
Yeah, college, yeah.
let me put you in there. Whoops. Palumi assigned to college. Okay. Sandy, where can I assign you? It looks like K through 5. Let me just find you here. Assigned to, okay. Elizabeth, can I assign you? Did you find a room? Elizabeth. I'm not sure. Elizabeth, are you K through 5? Okay. You might not be there. Danny, 6th grade. Let me see what we got for middle school. Oh, there's no one in the middle school. So do you want to go to high school or elementary? Are you there, Danny?
Yes, I am. And this is Sarah, where we keep flip-flopping.
Okay.
Sorry, our kids.
Oh, no.
Are you able to see the chat? Sorry, I was trying to chat so you didn't have to hear our background.
Oh, no, you're fine. What would you prefer? It looks like no one is in the middle school one. There's no one else. So would you rather go to?
And it would be, yeah, we could put AJ with the 5th grade. Does that sound good?
Yeah, okay, so you want to go?
I can go to the high school with Sarah. Can go to the high school.
Okay, let me see. Okay. So this.
Okay, so I would like to go to the college.
Okay, I will put you in there. And let me just see. Who was that? Elizabeth? Is that Elizabeth?
Yes, it's Elizabeth.
Okay. Elizabeth, let me assign you to the college. You are in, and then I think AJ should be.
He said elementary 5, you know.
Okay, looks like they went. Okay. Do you guys, were you able to do it, Dr. Lele, to go into a group?
No, I didn't have the options down here.
That doesn't make any sense.
So just assign me to the college. I think I'll just hang out with the college people down there.
Okay, sure. Let me put you, Macrina, move to college. Okay. Mercy and Joyce, did you guys want to go to any rooms? Drew, did you want, Drew, you can probably go to your own room, right?
Did you want me?
It doesn't matter. What, Joyce or Mercy, did you guys want to go to any rooms?
Yes, I can join the middle school.
There's no one in the middle school. So do you want me to put you in high school or
Yes.
elementary?
Sure. High school.
High school? Okay. All right. And Joyce, where did you want to go?
High school too.
Okay. Oh, I guess I just assigned, who did I assign? I've got to find you. It's so odd. I can't find you in here. It's showing Mercy that she hasn't joined, but I thought I just put you. Okay. Joyce, are you still there?
I think
Okay,
it's just us, Hannah Maria.
Okay, cool. Man, that is. Okay. Well, hopefully. That is so odd. Why couldn't they join a group?
I don't know. I think they could. I just don't think, I don't know. Zoom is being very weird today.
Yeah, that is so odd. It looks like our groups are pretty evened out, so that's good. I mean, that was nice because I could like put people in different rooms. It's just there was no one there from middle school, so that was unfortunate.
Yeah, There was that one person, I guess. Oh, well.
We have there's one person.
Oh, wait, hold on. Just realized my camera's not on. There was that one person who's in 6th grade, but nobody was in the room when we were assigning.
Yeah. So, but it looks like high school and that's good. Both high school, it's 5 in each for the high school. There's 3 or 4 in each of the.
Yeah, I think that's good.
If I had known he was going to do it through 3rd grade, I would have switched the elementary. Because the books are,
I think it'll be okay. How long is this session going till originally?
It should go until 10. Let me see.
We had 10:55. Do we want to stick to that?
What was that?
Do we want to stick to that?
I think we could start at 11.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's nice because we do have some wiggle room, because we have we put 30 minutes at the end for concluding remarks.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's 10:38.
Let me pause the recording.
Hit recording again.
Now you can just reintroduce.
Thanks, Maureen.
Thanks, Maureen. All right. She is our Fulbright language teaching assistant, which is really a prestigious opportunity that, a lot of people apply for this, and she got it because she's an outstanding teacher in Kenya. And so she is here virtually because of COVID-19. She couldn't come. Usually we would have someone physically here, but she has been working in Kenya. So she's been in our Swahili classes, and she's been visiting schools here in Pittsburgh while being in Kenya. So it's been a phenomenal year. But anyway, she teaches English literature in a remote school called Siwar Secondary School. And she graduated from Kisii University with a bachelor's degree in education. And she is a passionate teacher, and I think you guys are gonna really enjoy her. And then along with her, we have her counterpart, Mercy Jamasha, who was the winner of the 2019-2020 Heinz Fellowship. And she is here. She is a graduate student in the School of Education, also from Kenya, born and raised in a small rural village in Mosaic, Western Kenya. Mercy has always enjoyed teaching languages and culture. And she's also been a teacher. And she also has a new baby, Eli, who may join us as well. And so we are so excited to hear them. They originally had we did this whole rice and series with different countries, and how rice has been such a staple coming from Asia, and how everyone kind of has adapted their own rice dishes. And Joyce just did this outstanding video, and she has really created it into this fun lesson plan in teaching Swahili culture and language. So anyway, I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So anyway, welcome Joyce, welcome Mercy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Canes. So let me begin by giving an overview of our discussion. So our discussion today explores integrating culture in teaching. Drew, would you please share the PowerPoint? Thank you. So I heard from your introductions that some of you have been to some countries in Africa. Thank you. Africa is an immense continent in all ways. It comprises of 54 countries, each with its own political history, cultural influences, and social intricacies. Africa counts more than 1,000 ethnic groups who speak more than 2,000 languages, and a number that goes to 3,000 if it includes the dialects varieties. Go to the next slide, please. We will base more of our examples in Kenya. So has any one of you been to Kenya? I know some.
You can use the reaction buttons to make a raise your hand or something like that. Ah, and the poll.
So Kenya is a country in East Africa. It is a culturally diverse nation made up of 42 ethno-linguistic tribal. I can see 40% of the people have been to Kenya.
Well, Africa. I'm not sure.
Africa, yeah.
My polling question had Africa, not Kenya.
It's fine. So it has 42 ethno-linguistic tribal groups with different dressing, music, food, etc. So next slide, please. So these are just some of the questions that we will engage in throughout our presentation. So we'll just move to the next slide. So we will discuss how teachers can use the cultural aspects of Africa in American classroom. And these aspects include food sharing, traditional housing, traditional dishes, some of the initiation rites, marriage rites, traditional dressing, some of the activities that are done in Kenya like bullfighting and childbirth ceremonies. We are also going to share some of short video clips showing some of the traditions, as well as explaining how relevant they are still to Kenyan people and more importantly to teachers. So most communities in Kenya have held on these traditions, ensuring that they are passed to their children, both at home and also in school. We also have a pre-recorded video of preparing pilau. So pilau is a rice dish, or in some other regions, a wheat dish whose recipe usually involves cooking in stock of broth, adding spices and other ingredients such as vegetables or meat, and employing some techniques for achieving a cooked grain. So we hope that as practicing and prospective teachers, you may learn some of the ways of bringing culture into our classroom by looking at these cultural aspects holistically. So why teach African culture in your classroom? So linking cultural curriculum with aspects of African culture promotes global education for all students. In an era in which we are existentially threatened by climate change and political dangers, it is a vital educational approach to promote our students' sense of unity and respect. So teaching about Africa, weather, history, politics, culture, supports our students developing identities as global citizens. So Joyce, do you want to take away from there?
Okay, thank you, Mercy. As we all know, culture is the bedrock of, or rather foundation of any group of people. And I want to bring to your attention that Mercy and I come from diverse ethnic groups, but we just brought these together to show that Mercy was able to learn a few cultural aspects from my ethnic group, and I was also able to learn a few aspects from her ethnic group because of education, classroom teaching, because our books, our syllabus covers across all the 42 ethnic groups, And therefore, I can't say that I don't know anything in Mercy's Kalenjin language, or Mercy can't say that she doesn't know anything about the Abaluya community, which is my ethnic community. Therefore, through culture, we get to learn a few things about each other. And these that we are seeing on your screens are traditional houses in Kenya. Every homestead must have had this kind of house. Though currently most of them are used as kitchen places. No, let me just say maybe some of the roles that we use in these using these kind of structures. One, they're mostly used as kitchen places, like a fireplace where you're going to find a traditional African cooking fireplace will be found in such a setup, because most of us will say that we won't use iron sheets because they're going to catch rust. So we are going to use the grass thatched houses as our kitchen places. And it's always like a mark. You go to any home, you won't even ask where is your kitchen, because there will always be that grass thatched house located somewhere in every homestead. Number two, this house is normally used for young boys as their sleeping rooms, especially those ones who are upcoming teens. Like if you're sleeping somewhere with your entire family, you used to sleep with your mom, your dad, but now you're like 14, 15, you can no longer keep sleeping in the same room with your family member, with your parents. They'll construct for you a simple structure than the one you're seeing on your screens. So the boys would have their own, and they can even construct one for the girls. So when you go to an African homestead and you find so many of these, you can easily tell we call them Simba. Actually, Simba the lion. We also call them Simba because they host our upcoming men of the villages. So the boys can use them as their sleeping places, and the women can use them as their cooking places. So every home in Kenya has at least this kind of a structure. Yeah. Drew? These are Manyatta houses normally found within the Maasai community. As you can see, they may play the same role as the ones that you've seen previously, but now the kind of construction is what is bringing in the difference here. They have been lowered a little bit. You can see even the entrance is different. So this is just specifically within the Maasai community, and the roles are the same for the Morans, for the family house, where maybe you have the father sleeping here, the mother sleeping the other side. If it is in a polygamous home, then you also have a kitchen. So the only difference between what you've seen in the previous slide and this is just the way they construct them, but the roles they play are just the same. They just both offer shelter. Next. Here we have African silos. Like not all of us can have the modern way of preserving maize. So in Africa, you go to an African homestead in Kenya, you will find this kind of construction. This setup is used to store maize after harvesting. After harvesting the maize, this is where we place them. As you can see, each one of them has the same model, only that the material used is different. Like the first one, you can see those are bamboo sticks just rolled around, and then we have some stands using bricks. Then we have other poles supporting them. Then we have a roof, which is made from grass. And then the other one, there is that cemented part lower, and then it has been raised using timber. So the essence here is that to avoid any kind of distraction from any animals or just also to keep it cool, it has to be raised. And then you can see it has doors. So that is where you use to place the maize. And again, when you want to take the maize out, you also use the same small door to get your maize out. Mercy? Or should I go on, Mercy? So this this is an image of Maasai Morans. As you can see, they are donned in some bracelets. These are young men. For them to be called Morans, they must have undergone circumcision, and it's normally a traditional kind of activity that goes on within the Maasai people, within that Maasai region. So all the young men of a stipulated age, 14 to around 18, will always come together, mostly in July, around July and August. Then they come together. Then they are secluded from their families. They go into the forest. That one is supposed to harden them because they are now becoming senior, not senior, but just they are transitioning from being children to becoming adults. So they are taken away from their families. They are taken to the forest. They normally undergo very harsh conditions. They may sleep outside. They may have to stay in the rain at times. Then after a period of like 60 days, they have to come out after they have undergone circumcision. And that when they are coming back, they are coming out as young men, and they are given that name Morans to show that they are now the warriors of their community. And the stick that they are holding is normally given to them to indicate that they are now able, they can herd cattle around their homes, but without that, they are not given that stick, they cannot herd the cattle. So that is an indicator that they can now be trusted with the community property. Next. So the Maasai also have a jumping dance, and we can just enjoy it together as a sign of a cultural aspect that they have. It is just common. Thank you, Drew. Yeah, that is a signature Maasai dance. They normally dance to, like just trying to jump as high as they can, just their signature dance. It's cultural. Anytime you see someone performing such a dance, it's normally associated with the Maasai people. Next. So this one is from my community, like where I am right now. It's called the Isukuti dance.
Olongo manganize mumbo. 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 Olongo.
Okay, thank you. So as teachers and as prospective teachers, when you are using song and dances in a classroom situation, you can always be sure that you are transmitting culture to those students. Like if you're going to carry a video to class, or if you're going to take the students out to just watch that, you can be sure that at least you've been able to transmit a cultural aspect to your learners. As I mentioned before, that in Kenya, we've not been raised within the same cultural aspect with Mercy, but during drama festivals, there are always drama festivals in our schools. Every school comes with its own representations of its own culture. So when we all go to watch, when we all participate, when we all teach our learners about different aspects of culture, we are carrying that culture to our classrooms. We can never run away from our roots. You will always know that you're carrying that culture from generation to generation, because I'm sure these are things our grandparents did, and we are still doing them up to date. So in a classroom, like in an American situation, just having the video, just having the pictures like what we are looking at right now, you can always tell your students that in Kenya, there is a Turkana woman who wears bracelets. There are so many, like when you're explaining to your students the roles of these, they'll want to know maybe the roles of these bracelets. When these kids are born, they're given one bracelet by their father or mother. Then they'll be added every time. The more they grow, the more the bracelets are added by their parents, by their kins. But when they go out to get married, all the bracelets are taken off, so that the girl is going to receive a new bracelet from the husband. So again, the journey starts afresh. So more bracelets are added depending on maybe the ceremony that is going on within that particular setup. So again, you find that these bracelets will always even tell you if a woman is married, a woman has been widowed. They have that social aspect that they carry within them. You cannot get a child having similar bracelets with her own mother. So these bracelets are wrapped around these women's necks, have different functions socially. So we can always show them these pictures and tell them that these are pictures from Kenyan women in Kenya, Kenyan children, so that they can just get to know that this is what happens in Kenya. This is what goes on within a cultural setup within Kenya. In Kenyan homes, a child is given a bracelet when she's born, then they are added. So when we share such aspects with our students, you will realize that you're carrying Africa to an American classroom with little effort, just the images, just the videos that you show to them, or you encourage them to go and even watch when they're at home.
Maybe I can add something on Turkana. So the Turkana people also have elaborate clothing, as Joyce have said, and some of the clothings also are used to distinguish between age groups, developmental stages, occasions, and status of individuals or groups in the Turkana community. The Turkana people of Kenya are also skilled at carving wooden water troughs and also containers. So other containers are made from beads and decorated also with the beads the ones like the one they have on the annex. So you can be able to, we have some of the links at the end of the video where you can be able to go to these sites and you can be able to share with your classrooms. And I think we'll share them later after this presentation.
Next, please. So in Western Kenya, again, we have another event. We call it bullfighting. It's within the western part of Kenya. Bullfighting is just another cultural aspect that Kenyans within the western part have embraced. They converge together. Each group comes with a bull. They are normally trained. And it's a sport where if your bull wins, you get some monetary awards out of that. So it's cultural, then it's a sport, and then it's a business also. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So as you can all see, this is an event that has attracted so many people together. In fact, rival communities, they come together with their bulls and the bulls have to fight, and they even communicate with the bulls. They have a language in which they're able to communicate with the bulls to ask them to go fight. So it is a cultural event that has been so much embraced within the western part of Kenya, and of socialization, and also just to ensure that they are maintaining what their great-great-grandfathers used to do. Mercy?
Okay, next slide, please. So we are going to share some of the common East African dishes. We'll explain them, and if I may ask, which African food are you familiar with? You can put your answers in the chat. Oh, I can see ugali, chai. Ugali, mishkaki, chapati, chai masala, samosa, chapati, pilau. Wow. Beef stew. Thank you so much. So what you're seeing on the slides are some of the dishes enjoyed by people in Kenya. So we have included their Swahili names, just in case you want to learn 1 or 2 food names in Swahili. So some of the dishes are consumed globally, like for example, rice. So this is ugali. Most of the people said in the chat that they are familiar with ugali. So we have ndizi. So ndizi are the bananas. Next slide, please. Yeah, you can see chapati. It's the githeri. It's a mixture of beans and maize. Next slide. Yeah, you can see the bananas, the fermented milk.
I'm getting hungry.
The fish and ugali. So beef pilau, chicken pilau. So rice dishes are some of the dishes that they are consumed globally. And you can bring this into your classroom, by asking your students about rice dishes and how they prepare in their own cultures. I know most of the, in a global classroom, different students have different cultures and they prepare their food differently, especially rice, which is consumed by most of the people in the world. So they can be able to share their ways and they can learn from each other, the different ways of preparing dishes. And and they can be able to go try it out with their parents or teachers. Yeah, so Joyce, do you want to talk about the cooking methods? Oh, before Joyce jump in, let me just talk about the ingredients. So some of the ingredients that we've shared here are what we mostly use in preparing pilau. So, and Joyce will take us through the cooking methods.
So as we said earlier on, that we'll be preparing pilau. So these are the ingredients for preparing pilau. We included the Swahili names, just as Mercy said, if anyone is interested in learning the Swahili names for that. Drew, next slide. So
Joyce,
there is.
will you also say the Swahili names too, so we can hear them?
Okay, Drew, then take me back to the previous slide. So this is mchele. Mchele is rice. Then nyama. Nyama is meat. Next. Then pilau masala. Actually, that is the ingredient that gives our pilau the name pilau masala. Then we have nyanya. Those are the tomatoes. Onions pronounced as vitungu. Then we have pilau, pilipili hoho. Pilipili hoho. Next. Then vegetable oil is just called mafuta ya kupika. Mafuta ya kupika. Like kupika is cooking. Mafuta is oil. So we say mafuta ya kupika. And then that is dania. Next slide. Then chumvi. Chumvi is salt. Then maji is water. Maji. Then these are the utensils. We call them vyombo, like tools, vyombo. The utensils that we use mostly in an African kitchen. We have the pot, that is chungu. Then we have that mortar and pestle, that is kinu na mchi. Kinu na mchi. Next. The wooden spoon, mwiko. Mwiko can be mwiko or kijiko. Mwiko or kijiko. Then the plate is called sahani. Sahani. Next. Then this slide presents the common cooking methods in Kenya. Like if you visit me right now, you won't get a gas cooker here. I'll take you to the kitchen, the ones I showed you earlier. And then we will be having these two. These are the most common. Mafiga involves just you taking 3 big stones, strong ones, 3 stones, and then you place them until they are appearing in a rectangular shape. Then you place your pot. Then in some urban areas, people prefer using jiko, where you use charcoal. You're going to take charcoal and then you light your jiko. But the most common one is the mafiga, because it's cheap. It's the cheapest method of ensuring that you have your meal prepared, because all you have to do is to look for 3 stones, which you won't be buying anywhere. They are free, they are all over. So you get 3 stones, then you place in your kitchen. Then next slide. Then you go walking around finding some timber. We call them kuni. These are even these are heavier ones. When you come to Kenya, you may find kids walking around carrying heaps of some light kunis, the firewood, of which now will be used. Maka is used with the jiko, then kuni is used with the mafiga, the 3 stones. So I wonder if any one of you had seen that before. Maybe we showed them here, like if you were familiar with the mafiga, but now you know. So the other questions, I would wish to come back to them after we've watched the video. Let's just go on. Can we skip that? So in this video, I'll be briefly showing you how to prepare pilau. It's a meal that is normally prepared using the ingredients that I showed you earlier. And I prepared the meal within a traditional African kitchen. So I think we can watch. And as Dr. Potter has pointed out, you can always prepare the dishes as long as you have the recipe. It's a quick method of having a meal prepared. It's not difficult. As long as you have the recipe and you have the ingredients with you, it's so easy to prepare pilau. There is no Kenyan wedding that lacks pilau. Like if you come to Kenya and you're going to a wedding, you must eat pilau. So guys, welcome to my kitchen. These are my ingredients. On the far left, I have salt. And then next, I have a well-chopped capsicum, a piece of capsicum. And then next, we have coriander powder, and which you can substitute with the coriander leaves. And then here, I have chopped tomatoes. There are actually 4. I chopped 4 because of the amount of rice I'm going to use, which is ½ kg. Here I have oil, which you use substantially depending on the amount of rice you're using. And then again here I have 2 bulbs of onions, well chopped. Then here I have 1 bulb of garlic that I've already ground. If you do not want to use grounded garlic, you can go for the garlic powder, which is here. Here we have pilau masala, and that is where this rice gets the name pilau, because we use this pilau masala during the last stage to give it the final taste. And then we have chili powder, which is optional because we have people who do not like chili, and then there are those ones who like using chili. So this one is more of an optional choice for most of us. And then here is my rice already washed, ready to be cooked. Then here I have banana leaves. These leaves are used during the last stage to cover our pilau so that it is dry, well dried enough before it is served. On my far right, I have a pot containing already chopped meat pieces, which have been cooked for about 45 minutes, just awaiting to be transferred to another pot where it will be fried. So guys, I've already placed my pot on the fire. This is the most traditional fireplace used in my country. So I'm going to add oil into my pot, and I'm just going to draw 2 spoonfuls. Remember, I told you I'm going to prepare 2 cups of rice and 1 kg of meat. So I've already added oil into my pot, so I'm going to give it time. So guys, I'm transferring my meat from this pot because it has got a little water. So I'm going to make sure that the meat that I'm transferring to the other pot that is on this other side has no water, so that I can place it in the other pot where I'm going to fry the meat. This pot that has oil. So now I have my meat ready in my pot. I'm going to stir so that it is well mixed with the oil. And I'm going to give it time so that it's well immersed into this oil. I'm going to continue stirring my meat until it turns brown. It is that brown color that my rice will have to get from this meat when it is already cooked. So do not stop until the meat is brown enough. So my meat is almost turning brown. So I'm going to add my onions and then continue stirring to ensure they are well mixed and they continue heating together to achieve the same brown color. But you make sure you're maintaining moderate heat. So you continue stirring as you give it time, and you observe the way it is heating to ensure that it is going to acquire the complete brown color. Now the meat is brown enough. We can now add the tomatoes and continue stirring again. Make sure you stir well enough to make sure they are well mixed. Add some salt. At this point, you now start adding the other spices that will give your pilau the right taste. We are adding capsicum that we had already chopped. Then after adding capsicum, again you continue stirring so that you now have everything in your pot being well mixed. Then you also ensure that your heat is moderate enough. You just keep stirring to prevent the meat from sticking on the side of the pot, because at this point it is well cooked and very soft. After adding capsicum, at this point you add your garlic, your well ground garlic. Remember I said that you can use your ground garlic or you can go for the powder. So at this point I've opted for my ground garlic. Then I keep stirring again. I'm going to add 1 spoonful of pilau masala to my meat. Remember I told you that this is the mother of all that is going to give our rice the aroma. That aromatic smell that we need from pilau comes from pilau masala. So make sure that you're having the right measure depending on the amount of meat and the amount of rice that you are going to have. So for my case, I've opted for 1 spoonful because I just have 2 cups of rice, and I'm already feeling the smell. If you are here, you could be feeling it with me. Lastly, I'm going to spread these coriander leaves on top of my meat, and then I'm going to stir to ensure again it is well mixed with the other spices and the meat. Just keep stirring so that they are all well mixed. So guys, after giving the meat some time, like 1 or 2 minutes, I now want to add my rice to the meat. I said I had used 2 cups, so I'm going to add 2 cups of rice to my meat. And then I'm going to stir so that the rice and the meat are well mixed with all the spices that I've been adding. So keep stirring until you can see that your rice and your meat and all the other spices are properly mixed. So as you can all see, the color of my rice is now changing from white to brown. It is now achieving the pilau color that we have been trying to use the spices so that we can get to it. So you keep stirring so that your rice is now fully changed from white to the brown pilau color. After you are done stirring, it is now at this point that we are going to add water. Remember, we used 2 cups of rice. That means we are going to add 4 cups of water. So now we've already added 4 cups of water. So all you do at this point is to stir. After stirring, you close your pot and you let the pilau to heat for close to 40 minutes under moderate heat. I've come back to check my pilau. As you can see, it's almost drying. So I'm stirring to ensure that it doesn't stick on the pot. It's almost achieving the desired color that we want. You can, at this point, you reduce the heat. And you keep stirring. I'm going to use these banana leaves to cover it. This one will ensure that the heat is evenly distributed throughout the whole pot so that it dries from the top part to the bottom. Then I'll just give it some time and then I will withdraw the heat so that I just have mild heat. Being distributed across the entire pot. So welcome guys, my food is ready. We have our pilau, then we have kachumbari. We are going to serve this pilau hot and our kachumbari. I'm going to season salt on our kachumbari and then serve.
So I'm serving the pilau. As you can see, it looks perfect. It achieved our desired color and it smells very aromatic. Just trying to ensure that I get all the pilau out of this pot. Guys, I'm now going to add the kachumbari. Welcome now, and for those ones who prepared the meal with me, let us now be ready to eat. Our pilau is ready, as you can see, and my guests are here. We just want to enjoy the meal. So for those ones who prepared the meal with me, you are ready to enjoy the meal. Bon appetit. Thank you. Thank you, Drew. So could you take me back to the slide before the one for circumcision? As you can see, when we always say in Kenya that pilau is sweeter when it is eaten using our hands, but it is also an aspect that helps us to embrace, actually bond when you are eating together from one plate. And that is why I have these questions that I would have loved us to discuss and just try to ponder on what aspects of food share, what is your attitude towards food sharing? Is there something similar you can talk about maybe in the American cultures compared to the Kenyan culture? Can you eat together on the same plate? Because for us, like in my community, we always say that ugali tastes sweeter when we are using our hands. And in fact, we don't even encourage someone cutting ugali using a knife. We just want to appear like we are in a contest, contesting for the ugali using our hands. That is just that communal aspect. And we always joke about it and say it is sweeter when it is being contested from one plate, but it bonds a family. It is our culture. It brings us together as one family. So that has been our presentation. And maybe, I don't know what you guys feel about what we've shared, what you feel, if you feel there is something you can do with your students, because there is a lot we've shared, a lot that we've shared with you, from the dances to the cooking, because I believe if you would share a cooking session with your learners, they would learn something and say, I want to try this at home. Once they have the recipe and they know how to just, they have the ingredients, they can always prepare that meal with you. You can do a pre-recorded video the way I did, or you can even just cook it right there and have the meal together and have your learners share their thoughts about what they feel towards this attitude of food sharing. I know there is COVID, but if you come to Kenya, we are still eating ugali in the same plate. So there is that culture within us that we just have to share this meal because it's within us and we love it that way. So I would really love to hear from you, maybe from all the cultural aspects you shared, which one do you relate with through? Mercy, do you have something to say maybe?
I was thinking of maybe going through the questions so that we can have a discussion together.
Let's, Mercy and Joyce, because I know I see our time and we haven't had a break in about an hour and a half, let's just take a quick break, everyone, just 5 minutes, and then we'll come back to discuss and go into our workshop time. And then we can discuss in our groups. And Mercy and Joyce, you guys can go within between the groups, so you can kind of talk to each group individually.
Okay.
So 12:03, we're all coming back.
Do you want to just put the recording on pause?
Deconstruct Africa for kids, American-born kids who have a kind of a stereotype of what it means to be African from African, to be from Africa and African, and just looking at literature and food and just incorporating all the aspects we talked about today to get kids thinking more deeply about identity and debunking stereotypes.
Oh, it's good. Very good. Let's see, Catherine says, awesome resources to explore and bring to classroom. Also the opportunity to invite someone into the classroom. I lost it. Okay, invite someone into our room that will be our best situation. Great. What else? What's something?
Well, I think as you're constructing, topics or project-based learning experiences for students at any grade level, I really like the video presentation that the gals presented. I think that you can pull out any aspect of culture and interweave that in any content area so that you can truly get a very rich interdisciplinary project for students. And I think that helps broaden their perspective and knowledge too of a particular culture.
Mm.
I will add too that the books that Dr. Griffin L presented, I keep thinking in the back of my mind as well how you can, it's intergenerational, and also too how you can bring the past with the present. I like to do that a lot too when I'm designing curriculum as well, seeing how the two connect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of the students who can come out and talk, or other resource people who are from huge urban areas and really, very technologically sophisticated metropolitan areas. And, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So there's lots of different ways to look at it. And if whatever discipline or grade level you're at, there's somebody there to help teach all of us. I'm always meeting new people and seeing how global trends show up in some really amazing modern ways and modern innovations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I was listening to all this and also just thinking about teaching about Africa, I am seeing like there's so much, weight on the educator to really help, steer people away from those stereotypes. It is our responsibility because we are the ones nurturing these young minds. How they think about places, how they think about other people depends on how we really teach them. So we have a huge responsibility, and I apologize, I have an infant in the background, so I'll stop there because he's about to cry, the grandbaby.
Very good. Anyone else want to share?
Thank you, Dr. Lele, for acknowledging that. It is a big weight. And as the world becomes more international and more global, I think it is a weight that we feel as educators to create understanding. So that's why forums such as this one are really important. So we can get outside of our situation and talk to other people to hear how they do it. You know, just share resources and share thinking. So thank you for acknowledging that.
To an answer to the question about resources, yes, we will send the PowerPoints from Joyce and Mercy that have the links on them to their videos. Yeah, so you guys will have that. And then I'm also going to send in the chat right now, this is our survey. I'll send it in an email too. You guys might be too dead right now to take a survey on the workshop, but it really will help us for our future workshops if you guys do that, and so that we can get the content that you really need to get into the classroom. Also, if you guys need Act 48 credit, I also have a link for that if you guys want me to send that in for you. So, which we will happily do. That's the second one. I guess it's weird with the Google links, but that just asks for your ID number so that I can send that into the spreadsheet for the Act 48 credit if you guys want credit. I think you'll get 3 credits with this. So yeah. Anything else before we end it? Dr. Griffin L., would you like to say any concluding thoughts after you?
Yes. So I wanted to finish the last part of my presentation. I forgot. No, I'm joking. No, I just thank everyone for coming. It was an honor and pleasure to present to you all. And as I said before, if you want to have continue the conversation, please feel free to reach out. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, we do thank our presenters. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for Maureen Porter for getting this off the ground. She really was like, we've got to do this year. So thank you. And Dr. Lily, I don't know if you want to say some closing words. I know you've got the baby. So
I just want to say thank you all so very much. He's trying to sleep. That's Zyron. His name means God's gift. Remember, we talked about names and meaning. Anyway, really wanted to thank you so much. And also we thank you for the interest in Africa. We all know that Africa is not a place everybody, would like to talk about or to teach. But when we find people who are interested, we get very excited. We are happy to share whatever we can. Reach out to us if you need anything from us, if there's anything we can do in your classrooms. We've been working, for example, with AJ Dani. I don't know if he's still here, but our students have been going out there to do the Gali Moto projects, which are really exciting. And there was a book that, and there was a book that Nosakari shared, which really sounded like something they would love to, use. And we do these projects abroad to Africa. We would encourage you to get interested. Of course, we know these are not normal times right now, but we are hopeful that things are going to get better and we can travel again. So join us if you're interested. Look for us, look at our website. We have all the info there. And we are doing a program. Dr. Porter is leading it in 2022. God, if COVID allows us to travel to East Africa, we'll cover Kenya and Uganda. Those who are interested in the environment, we can visit Wangari Maathai's Green Belt movement. That's where the whole thing started, and so forth and so on. So there's so much we can offer to each other, and we would really be happy to work together because we all have the same agenda to promote global education to our students. We are preparing the future generation that will be more appreciative and more tolerant of difference rather than, causing conflict and teaching each other that we are different. We are different, but we have so much in common as human beings. That's our purpose as educators. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday. It looks like we're getting out a little early.
Thank you. Thanks,
to our
everyone.
ambassadors who left. All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
All right, thank you.